What's up YouTube? Panagiota here, coming at you with another video. Today's video is going to be about the suits and what each suit represents. Now, first and foremost, if you don't know what suit represents you, I'm going to post a picture of a card chart here on the screen. So locate your birthday. The months are laid out horizontally and the days are laid out vertically. So for example, if you were born on January 1st, you would be a king of spades. So you would be of the spade suit. Okay, now that we got that taken care of, let's jump into the suits and what they represent and why is it important. It's important because the suits represents the foundation of this entire system. It's like saying, hey, I want to learn astrology and I want to be able to read a birth chart. Well, you can't just open up someone's birth chart and start reading it, right? You need to know the basics. You need to know how to read a birth chart, what the houses represents, what the signs represents, what the planets represents, what degrees, nakshatras, dashas, so on and so forth. So just like this, you need to understand the basic fundamentals. So the suits represents the basic fundamentals of the system. The suits in particular represents the seasons and the cycles of the seasons. So first, we're going to start off with the heart suit because the hearts represents spring, the first season. It has the element of water. So what happens in the springtime? This is a time when we're planting seeds and we're watering those seeds to germinate, to bud, and to sprout. So the hearts represents creation and creativity. It's a time where we're creating new things. And it also represents desires of the heart and your passions, because without those things, you cannot create anything, right? You need to have the drive to do something. So it represents the drive, the passion, the creation. It represents things that you love, those close to you, your family, relationships. If you yourself are of the heart suit, you can be very childlike because it's the first season. So it's like the youthfulness, very childlike. You can relate to children extremely well. And your karmas through this life is expressed through relationships. So that's the main form of expression for you, is through your relationships with others and with yourself. If you are to have a lot of heart suit cards show up in a particular reading, it would show that the focus would be on either relationships, love, people close to you. So for example, if you have the Ace of Hearts show up in a reading, it could represent a new love, a new relationship, because aces represents new beginnings, new starts. We'll get into what every card represents, but for now, I'm just giving you a general meaning of the suits. So now we're going to move into the clubs. The second season represents the summer, and its element is air. And why is it air? Well, we were planting seeds, watered the seeds, and now they're growing, right? And now they're producing oxygen that we are in return breathing. So that's where that air element comes in. So what happens as people, in order to grow, we need to learn and we need to attain knowledge. So that's what the clubs represents. It represents the students. You know, we were young, but now we're going to school. We're learning things. We're attaining knowledge. We're students. We're teachers ourselves. The clubs is of the mental capacity. They could be more logical than emotional. If you are of the club suit, you can be more in your head, very into detail-oriented things, liking to learn more about everything. You might even be, a lot of clubs might even be watching my videos because they love learning. So clubs is of the learning suit. And if they club cards show up in a reading, it could represent learning something new, reading, writing, communication, anything of the club-related things. Diamonds. Diamonds represents the fall. It has the element of the earth. And what happens? We were growing seeds, now they've grown, and now we are selling them. So farmers harvest their crops in the fall. They're selling, they're reaping what they've sown. They're gaining value for what they've done already. So diamonds represents value, things that are tangible because it's that earth element. So things that we can hold on to, those material possessions. It represents money, worth, value, things that are important to us. If you are a diamond, you'll have all those qualities. You could be money-oriented, business-oriented, want to achieve high status. If diamond cards show up in a reading, it represents, could be new jobs, could be focusing on career, focusing on money, things that are valuable to you. Finally, that leaves us with the spades. The interesting thing about spades is this giant spade on a fresh deck of cards. And what's also interesting about it is if you open it, you'll realize that there's only one card in the deck that has the biggest symbol, and that is the Ace of Spades. The Ace of Spades represents the system itself. It represents death and rebirth. It represents secrets and the occult. So it represents the system. And that's what spades represents. The season is winter and its element is fire. And spades represents transformation, because what happens? We've we've had our youthfulness, we've grown, we've learned, we've done business, and now we are at that age where we are looking back and we're gaining that inner wisdom, inner guidance. We're becoming more spiritual. Still could be very materialistic because spades are very labor intensive and they work hard. If you're the spade suit, you can grow up very young and mature at a young age, have a lot of responsibilities, be very spiritual, can be materialistic. If spade cards show up in a reading, it could focus on health, because why? When we get older, we tend to focus more on our health. It could be focusing on health, your work, your spiritual journey, and things of that nature. So guys, this was my general description of the suits and what they represent. I'm going to be posting videos of every single card and what does it mean if it's your card. So yeah, peace guys.
I'm shuffling.